Here is Stockton on Tees, Brian.
You caught me having a slip of tea there, Nick.
God, here we go.
You caught me having a slip of tea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're there,
how'd you have your tea?
Just with milk, no sugar.
No sugar?
No, never took sugar.
Right. Don't tell me. You're sweet enough.
Correct. Don't worry, Nick. Changes are coming.
Yeah, change is going to come. Yeah.
It's going to, and they're coming more quickly
than you could possibly imagine. Yes.
Than they have done for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things happen so slowly, but things are going to start happening quicker.
Yeah.
And,
like what? Like what things?
The blob.
I mean, apart from everything that's going on at the moment, the blob.
The blob.
When, are you talking about the original with Steve McQueen?
No, the blob in politics.
The blob in politics. What is that noise in the background?
Turn it down. I've got the tribe here, the kids.
Oh.
First time they've come since the lockdown.
Right, tell them to shut up.
Turn it down. Turn it down. Turn it down. Yeah, she's turned it down there. No, but change. When you look at all fronts, change is coming, isn't it?
It's not coming. It's come already.
The BBC are getting looked into, right? The BBC.
Someone's looking at the BBC. Well, it'd be a change.
The universities.
Somebody under the age of 70 is looking at the BBC.
The universities are getting looked at.
What do you mean looked at?
Well, all the students have been brainwashed for years to be left, and.
No. Students are left-wing because they're young and they have hope for the world. They haven't given up like old people like you.
I'll tell you what's happening in universities, Nick. Yes. You'll listen.
Go on.
For once, right? They're shutting down speech on anything that doesn't agree with their leftist views.
As do old right-wingers like you.
No, but we're about young people here who are the future, and what is happening is. Anybody who doesn't agree with them, they shut them down, they call them names to stop free speech. And the EU the governments before this one...
It didn't take long, did it? It's the EU's fault.
I'll tell you why it is.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why it is, shall I?
Yes.
They've been using our own money to pump into universities, give them millions, right?
How dare they?
Yes, they've been taken over. And all governments leading up to... The ones before this,
Brian,
let them get away with it.
Brian, were you ever a young person?
Of course I was.
Right. Can you remember back that far to what you used to think, how you used to think about the world? Because you can't possibly have been the old, dyed-in-the-wool right-winger that you are now when you were a younger person. You must have had a period in your life when you thought rosy thoughts.
Of course, yes.
Right. Well, it's not a factor. Yeah, as you get older, you become more and more selfish. Precisely.
No, you don't. I haven't become selfish. What I've found is I'm a lot more educated on politics and what have you. I had no interest when I was young in it. I take notice more now.
Knowing names and policies is not having an interest in politics. That's just that's like collecting football cards.
Change is coming from all over the shop now. What has brought this change in politics is YouTube. Outlets like YouTube. Now YouTube...
The puppy dog and the pussycat videos? Those?
Nigel Farage, it gave him a platform. Because he was never going to be given a... Will you listen, though? Whinging. They'll give him a platform where he would never have had a platform in politics.
Are you kidding me?
Even now,
you're not one of these right-wing whingers who complains because there exists some platform from which a left-winger speaks, are you?
The thing is, you don't like being called a lefty. I've heard you say on here. So don't call me right.
Well, you are.
It's just because it's insulting. I'm not.
What, you think that being right-wing is a bad thing?
Just a second. I voted Labour all my life when I voted.
Right.
Up till the last two general elections when I voted Conservative.
Yeah.
I only vote Conservative.
How's that going, by the way, for you at the moment?
Will you listen? I only voted Conservative twice because they were the only party who said they would give us Brexit.
Yeah.
All the other parties, even most of the Conservative Party were Remainers, but Boris Johnson, Gove and all that.
I know I'm going to regret this, but what do you think that you're going to achieve from Brexit? What was it that made you switch a lifetime of allegiance to the Labour Party over to the Conservative Party, about who thinks very little of people like you?
You don't know much about the North, do you? They've just about lost the North.
I grew up in Edinburgh. How much north do you want?
They've lost Scotland. Labour's lost Scotland. They've already lost it. And they're on a path to lose the North and the Midlands. Because people are pig sick of them. That is why
You're not answering the question, though. What is it about Brexit, and I can't believe I'm asking this twice,
what is it about Brexit
that you think is going to improve your life any?
It's not about me. It's about the country.
Oh, my God. See, you refuse to answer the question.
No,
you can't think of a single thing.
I've answered it. It is not for me. It is for young people of this country.
Young people in this country did not want it. They thought about it at length, and they thought, well, we don't want this.
Because I've told you earlier,
old whinging geezers want Brexit. The young people do not want it.
Earlier in this phone call, I said the reason for that. They've been brainwashed, right? And the thing is,
I think it's the other way around. I think that Brexiteers have been brainwashed by a very highly sophisticated publicity campaign that has infiltrated their Facebook feeds, apart from anything else, and YouTube, and has been perpetuated by the right-wing media, which dominates in this country.
Is Brexit going to be a lot better for the fishermen of this country?
Oh, my God. People are still going on about the fishing. Fishing is an irrelevant industry as far as the economy of this country is concerned.
You were saying I will not answer a question. Answer the question.
Fishing.
Will it be better or not?
What difference does it make about fishing?
Answer the question.
No, it won't. It won't make the slightest bit of difference, because the reason that we don't fish our waters is because we sold the rights to do so.
No, but the thing is,
that's true. That is true, Brian.
Look,
we sold the rights to fish our own waters. You can't sell something and then still demand that you have it.
Nick, it doesn't matter if they bought them. If they haven't got the law on the side, they can't fish here. They'll have to get rid of the boat.
Brian, your knowledge of this issue is at zero. Let me quote from a newspaper which is right up your street, The Express. This is from The Express. A huge fuss, listen to me, a huge fuss is being made over, quotes, the betrayal, unquotes, of the British fishing industry, with foreign boats allowed to continue harvesting our waters for 21 months after we leave. Listen to me.
What are we then?
It turns out that foreign firms already own a big slice of British fishing rights and will continue to do so permanently. Listen to me. Be quiet.
No,
Brian, I'm going to fade you out. He's so infuriating. I'll read it. It's not long, but it's an explanation for people who still bang on about the blooming fishing rights, like it's got anything to do with anything. It's a minuscule business that affects fewer people than work at Harrods. I've explained this over and over again. A shop in London employs more people than are employed by the entire fishing industry. And by that shop pays more it turns over more and pays more in taxes than the entire fishing industry does. There's absolute nonsense. People going on and on and on about blooming fishing. And it's a little Englander mentality. It's this desperate yearning to rule the waves. God, it's pathetic. If we could keep all of the fish that we plucked from the seas around these coasts, we still wouldn't eat any of it, because we don't like the fish that swims around these parts. It's mackerel. We hate that stuff. We sell that to Europe. Anyway, are you listening, Brian? Oh, he's gone. It's a dream come true. Honestly, it's like my birthdays and Christmas all happened at the same time. He's gone. Cheam in Surrey. Hello, Sue.
How are you?
Great, thanks.
Good. You listed a whole load of things that are wrong with the country, about the nurses, not having enough nurses, and a whole list. But this all happened while we were in the EU. And so much more has been done
that's
to us
a
while we've
coincidence,
been
Sue.
in the
It
EU.
also
And I
happened.
know you're
It
grumpy
also
because
happened when we
I
were
voted
all wearing
Brexit.
shoes. So there's that.
Do what, darling?
Just
The phone cut out.
Phone cut out. Yeah, right.
No, I didn't hear what you say. Say it again.
What's it got to do with the EU?
Because we've Brexited, haven't we? We're Brexiting.
No. Answer the question. What's it got to do with the EU? Austerity.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about austerity. I was talking about the fact that so many things have been happening to us while we've been in the EU.
No, you said that I made a list of all the things that are wrong with this country, like a police, like a nurses, like a hospital beds, the road, the potholes in the road and all that jazz.
Yeah.
Austerity, 10 years of austerity. What's that got to do with the EU?
Well, let me think.
Oh, yeah, OK, I'll put you on hold.
No, Nick, listen. They own our railways. People are paying massive.
Who own our railways?
And the increases.
Who own our... Listen to me.
There's a whole pile of stuff.
Be quiet. Who own our railways?
Does
The
Germany and
EU?
France, don't they?
The EU own our railway. Well, they own... they run some lines, but why is that? Do you think they took them from us?
Well, you see, the thing is, what the EU wanted to do, obviously,
You're not answering the question. You're not answering the question. Do you think they took...
taken over so many things in this country?
Sue,
What, darling?
does your phone have an earpiece?
An earpiece? No.
Well, that's the root of the problem, I think. That's the root of your problem, Sue. You want to get one of those newfangled phones that can receive as well as send. She's speaking to me on one of those yogurt cups with a bit of string at the end. You can only yell in it. You can't listen while you're yelling. Got nothing to do with the EU, Sue.
No, hold on. Is that better?
Well, I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just about. It's just I held on for so long. I didn't want to have the phone to my head, so I held it a little bit away and used the amplifier thing.
Yeah, I can understand that, because when you are on hold a long time, you do find that you, unbeknownst, subconsciously, you start pressing the phone into the side of your head, and then your ear goes red. Yeah, I get that.
Yes, you're right. But thank you for that anyway.
And you know whose fault that is?
The EU.
The EU, yeah.
Stop it. But Nick, I voted so we could get rid of these Herberts that are in at the moment, but I know it all went horribly wrong.
Which Herberts are you talking about?
The Tories.
Right, but we didn't vote to get rid of the Herberts. We voted for the Herberts.
No, well, I didn't, but the people up north voted.
They voted for Boris Herbert.
They did. That they lent him their vote, and I bet they wish they could get it back now.
No, they won't admit anything of the sort, because that would mean loss of face. They are in it. They're all in.
Well, all I can say is, with all these billionaires leaving the country, it's obviously Jeremy Corbyn's fault, because he threatened everybody with huge tax rises.
That's right. If only we hadn't suffered through the last 10 years of a Labour government under the premiership of Jeremy Corbyn, then we'd really be getting somewhere as a country, wouldn't we?
We would.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeremy Corbyn. You see what we've done?
It's all your fault. Yeah. Anyway, having confused me and miscombobulated me,
yes.
I was perfectly clear on what I wanted to say.
Right. Oh, I see. It's my fault.
It's you and the EU.
Yes. OK, well, that's told me. Thanks a lot, Sue. Cheers, my dear. Let's have Southampton. Andy.
Good evening.
Andy.
So, the EU got a little bit of a divorce bill. So they've got a bit of a settlement at the moment, haven't they?
What do you mean?
Theresa May's deal, the divorce bill, they were going to get a load of money. But if there is a no deal come tomorrow night, they won't get that. So it's in their best interest to get a deal.
Yeah, I think it's peanuts.
Well, it's a big deal to them. So
not really.
The other thing is, when you say we're just a little country and we've got nothing in the world...
Well, I didn't say that. But compared to giant trading blocs, which all countries on Earth are organising themselves into...
Which countries are mounting up together?
Which?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be easier to say which aren't.
Well, the EU. They're one big bloc, European Union.
That's right, yeah.
And that's it. China, Japan, separate. Canada and USA don't like each other.
Wow. The stuff you know about trading blocks, you could write in the back of a stamp, mate.
You keep going on about it, mate. What's your
Yes,
point?
and you're not listening to me. I do keep going on about it, and you haven't listened to a word one. God, this is an educational show, isn't it?
Yes.
It actually, every now and again is. But you are listening with your mouth, not your ears. Pay attention. You might learn something. God, I'm up to my eyeballs with stupid, Andy. Call again next week. Let's have Westminster. Oh.
Good evening there, Nick, my old pal. How are you, friend?
God, I've been sideswiped. Yes, Ken.
Good to speak to you. Good to speak to you,
as brief
Nick.
as it will be. Go on.
Right, okay, but listen, we just heard about New Zealand now. They've legalised murder. Can you imagine it? A nation legalising self-murder by euthanasia.
Euthanasia. I would ordinarily disagree with such a policy,
nation.
Ken, but in your case, I'll make an exception.
The devil has taken over the world, my friend.
It doesn't make much sense to me because they had two things to decide on. One was euthanasia and one was legalised marijuana. So it's okay to drink poison, but it's not okay to smoke a joint. It's okay to end your life because you're living in pain and misery, but it's not okay to improve that pain and stay alive. That's just nuts.
Well, here's a thought, Nick. There's three things to be legalised in the world. The first one is euthanasia, and New Zealand have set the example of unbelief. The second one, which will happen, will be the legalisation of drugs. And the third thing to be legalised is pedophilia.
Drugs are already legalised, Ken. What are you talking about?
I'm talking on a worldwide basis here, Nick. Now, the next thing to be legalised is pedophilia. Right. They will lower the age of consent.
Okay, well, certain organised religions will be doing a little happy clappy dance about that then, won't they? No. They being the centre of paedophilia. Just read the news, Ken. Here is Weybridge. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Nick. Good evening.
Yes, Jennifer.
Well, I care about British fish caught by British fishermen.
No, you don't.
Right. How do I know where the fish I'm eating comes from?
Because it says there on the front of the packet.
No, it doesn't. Right, I bought it in Waitrose. It didn't have a packet. I bought it supposedly fresh.
Oh.
Right.
What,
has that
wet?
been caught in our British
ice?
waters?
No, probably not. Depends on what fish it was. What fish was it?
Right, it was bream.
Bream?
You see, I understand that the Mediterranean countries
There's no
like bream.
such thing as bream. You're making it up.
Bream?
You mean bread?
No, bream. B-R-E-A-M. Bream.
Bream. Yeah.
I don't think you're quite with me, Nick.
No, I most certainly am not.
Right, concentrate.
I'm trying
to eat sea bream.
Yes.
Well, I've eaten it. But
you've eaten it already? Oh,
yes,
my God.
Too late.
Yes.
However, I need to know, where does it come from? Is it British bream? Was it caught by British fishermen? Yeah. Or is it part of a foreign quota?
Ugh. Well, did you ask the fish person behind the counter?
Never occurred to me then.
Right. Well, you've got to make notes before you head out. Ask fish person where their wares come from.
Yes, but I feel I want to support British fishermen. I want to eat our British fish.
Yeah, but you don't.
How do I know if it's our fish?
Right, I'll tell you how. Would you like to know? If it doesn't taste very nice, it's British fish. And I think you'll find that is correct.
Correct.
Oh, right. Even if you cook it as Keith Floyd did.
Don't cook it because it'll stink the place up. British fish is kippers and...
oh, don't be daft.
It is.
What, and sardines and mackerel?
Mackerel is exactly what we catch. Mackerel is what we catch around these parts. You like tasteless fish, right?
No.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
Cod and haddock.
Right.
Yeah, see?
Because it's got lots of fennel and parsley and wine and everything, and it was gorgeous.
Yeah, you just like a bit of tasteless flesh that you can squirt some unctuous juice all over it.
That's a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
However, where do you think it comes from, the bream? Where do you think it was caught? How do I find out?
You could ask it politely.
Right.
Where are you from?
I think I'll have to go to the MD, chairman of Waitrose.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yes. Okay.
Pop him a little letter in the post.
Yeah, no, I haven't got time for that.
Where's your bream from, mate?
Well, I'm having sea bass next week.
Oh, blimey, you are really pushing the boat out, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to have fish every night from now on to support, I thought, our British fishermen.
To support Norwegian fishermen, yeah.
Well, that's what's concerning me.
Well, it should do. It's very unpatriotic of you, Jennifer, to eat foreign fish.
What?
Because it comes over here.
Well, that's exactly what my concern is, Nick.
But the thing with fish is that there's no such thing as British fish. They swim here and there.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, they come from all over.
Yes.
Look at a fish's passport. It's got stamps from everywhere on it.
Yes, but who caught it? Who does it belong to?
It belongs to you now, completely. Believe me, now you've eaten it, nobody wants it back.
I want to
Trust
make
me
sure
on that.
it's part of our British quota.
Right. But we sold all our British quota. That's the big problem with this whole fish issue, is that we sold all of our rights to yank fish out of the seas around these parts. You can't sell something and insist that you still retain it.
Do you mean we catch fish and then it belongs to someone else?
No, we don't catch fish because we sold the rights to catch that fish to someone else.
Oh, and somebody else caught it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was probably a bloke called Lunt or Francois or...
Right, I'm going to have to think about this seriously before I have fish again.
Yeah, or you could regurgitate what you've already eaten.
No, don't be stupid.
Sorry. All right. Thanks a lot, Jennifer. Here's Brian in Stockton on Tees. I take back everything I said about stupidity. Yes, Brian.
Yeah, good evening, Nick.
Brian.
Well, great show.
Pardon?
It's a great show.
Is it?
I mean, it's so funny. I've never stopped laughing since it come on.
Yeah, well, you
hilarious.
sound chortlesome. Yeah.
Now, before the news, you said, what idiot would go on holidays now? Michelle Barnier for 3 weeks.
What idiot would do what now?
You said before the news,
yes,
in Boris, what idiot would go on his holidays at this time?
Yeah,
Michelle Barnier.
Yeah, and many of our own politicians.
Yeah, but we never talk about Europe, do we, on the show, Nick? Do we?
Are you kidding me?
Michelle Barnier.
We never talk about Europe on this show. Are you kidding me? We've talked about until the virus came along. We talked about nothing else.
You bring the UK down and just forget about Europe. What's happening in Europe? What do you think of Emmanuel Macron? By the way, what do you think of this bloke, Emmanuel Macron?
What do I think about him?
What do you think of him?
I think him and the president of the Prime Minister or President? Prime Minister of is it Prime Minister or President of Canada?
I think it's President.
I think that they're actually the same person. I mean, has anybody seen them in the same place
So
at the
what's your
same
opinion
time?
of Macron?
I rest my case.
What's your opinion of Macron?
Brian, it's irrelevant because yes, that's where we were getting to. You were not remotely interested in my opinion. You just wanted to give me your opinion.
Well,
so here we go.
Can I please?
Not that it has anything to do with what we're talking about.
Right. No, we want to talk about the EU a little bit.
No, I don't think we do.
No, well, I phoned up to talk about it.
Well, that's great. So you talk about it, but try doing it on another show. Let's have High Wycombe, Cameron.
Hello, Nick.
Cameron.
First of all, I'd just like to say your show is so addictive. I started listening to it about a year ago, and to be honest with you, I'm totally addicted by it. So anyway,
well, thanks.
Moving on. I am so glad that we have got rid of these European muppets, and I can only but say that because being a technical sort of person, they came out with these silly, I can't explain it. It's like they must have sat round some table and sort of hit each other on the top of the heads to come out with this. 1,500 watt vacuum cleaners.
Oh, my God. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You are not going to talk about vacuum cleaners.
Well, I'm going to talk about 4 things, but nothing too drastic. I'm not going to hold it too long because I know you're busy. But they took a typical 1,500 watt vacuum cleaner,
oh my God,
and they said that all manufacturers had to make a 700 watt version, and it was in some sort of limelight towards saving the planet.
Yes.
Well, as we know,
we don't want to save the planet.
But as we know, if you've got a 1,500 watt vacuum cleaner and you reduce it down to 700 watts, in effect, the housewives have to go round and do twice as much vacuuming.
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. Well, if you take the 4-slice toaster and you reduce it down to 2 slices, because they said that basically...
I thought you said you were a technical kind of person.
Well, yeah.
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, what are you sprinkling on your carpet that needs such enormous suction?
Well, to be honest
What are
with
you unable to get out of the fibres?
Well, okay, let's move on to the kettle.
No, let's stay there. I mean, you brought it up. The vacuum cleaner thing. I mean, of all the comical things for anybody to bring up, I can't believe that somebody had the nerve to do it. I mean, I don't want to pick a fight with you, Cameron, but that's absolutely ridiculous. Don't tell me the next thing you're going to say is light bulbs.
No, kettles.
Kettles.
Yeah, they wanted to bring down the 3-kilowatt kettle down to 1,500 watts.
Right, it's one of the most wasteful electrical contraptions that we've got in our households. They use an enormous amount of electricity.
Yes, but if you do the maths, and you're pretty good at that,
oh, God.
yeah. If you take the fact that if you've got a 3-kilowatt kettle boiling up 1 pint of water, a 1,500 watt kettle is going to take twice as long, but it's still going to boil it up to the desired level.
I very much doubt that is the case. Any more than you have a problem getting up your fluff from a carpet with a perfectly reasonable vacuum cleaner. What else have you got?
Right. Well, I'm dumbfounded. It's simply a case of, what else can I say?
But it isn't. What are your engineering qualifications?
Well, I haven't got any engineering qualifications.
So you're not a technical type of person then?
Well, I've picked my own stuff. Oh, okay.
So, no, in other words. Right.
Is there anything we can talk about that we can agree on?
How about the weather? What's the weather like in your area?
Oh,
dreadful.
Tell me about
yeah.
It. Oh.
It's like winter outside.
I'll tell you how cold it is.
How cold is it?
I put my cat out at 9:30, forgot to bring it in at 1 o'clock, went out there, and it's literally frozen.
Frozen
and it's actually
solid.
looking at me.
Right.
And when I went to pick it up, it was actually in some sort of like, I don't know, frozen condition. I brought it in and sat it down, and it took about 3 or 4 minutes for it to defrost. And I felt really sorry for it.
Yeah.
So I gave it hot milk and gave it an extra bit of food. And
Hot
that,
milk?
And
I don't think you're supposed to feed milk to a cat. That cat is going to rip your throat out as soon as you fall asleep. You know that, don't you? It's just waiting for the moment to pounce.
Exactly. But all I can say is, Nick, your programme is fantastic, mate. I do like the way that you come across. You don't agree with everybody. For the time that I've been listening to it, you have punched. You and Steve Allen, as far as I'm concerned, you two have got me hooked.
All right,
I listen to you all the time, mate.
That's very nice of you to say so, Cameron, even though we can't agree on anything but the weather and your cat. Maidstone, Stephen.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, I think that we need to look at the world and try and understand what's been going on. And the fundamentals of what's been going on is that the centre of global power has been moving to the west. Obviously, it's many, many years ago it was in London, but now it's moved over to New York. And I think that it continues to move to the west. So if we're looking at our trade issues and international trade relations, we should be looking at places like Singapore and Hong Kong as the basis of what's going to happen next.
Well, China, surely. That's where the money is.
Well, China is certainly where the money is, and Hong Kong has been their main access to global financial markets in order to get the capital that they required to build their economy. And we could look at Singapore as well. Singapore is a slightly different example because it's an independent island nation, and it trades. And I think that
it's just a port. It's basically a tax-free port. I mean, it's not really a country at all.
It is a country. It is a tax-free port as well. But surely the fact that they're very prosperous in living like this, we should be looking at that as our example.
Well, when you say they're prosperous, I mean it has one of the worst distributions of wealth of any place on earth. There's a few enormously wealthy people, which pulls up the average earnings, and the rest of them are dirt poor and they ain't got nothing. I don't want to live in a place like Singapore. Who would?
Well, I lived in Singapore for a little while.
Yeah, and I bet you were on a whopping great salary.
No, I wasn't at the time. I was in training.
All right, well, I bet you were doing comfortably well.
Yeah, I was doing okay.
Right.
But my point with regards to Singapore is there's a nation and a trade, and it's very prosperous because of that.
But what is your point, though, about Singapore? That we should be like Singapore?
I think that we should look at Hong Kong, for example, and Singapore as examples of what we can do. You're looking at the...
That's a nonsense argument. How can you compare a country that is as complicated and diverse as we are to two places that pretty much do one thing for a living?
They do an awful lot more than one thing. I mean, there's a lot of research happening.
Singapore is a tax-free port, and Hong Kong is a financial centre. What else do they do?
Singapore is a financial centre as well.
Okay, all right. They're both financial centres. That's like comparing... if you could compare the city of London and Singapore, then yes, that's a good comparison. But not this country in Singapore.
I think that you're focusing in on the fish the fish issue is getting distracted.
What's fish got to do with it? Got to do with it?
Well, you seem to be talking about it quite a bit.
But not with you. You're the one that brought fish into this. I'm not talking about fish as regards to Singapore. What's fish got to do with it?
Well, I thought that's where the conversation left off before you went into your...
Well, the conversation with the previous guy was about fish, but not with you. You're banging on about how we should be like Singapore. How on earth can we be like Singapore?
Well,
the city of London can be like Singapore, but not the country of Great Britain.
Well, I was talking about the pivot to the west. So
yeah, but you keep going on about the west, but it's not the west; it's the east, which is the new centre of power. Not the. I guess if you keep going west, you eventually end up to where you would be if you'd gone east. But that makes no sense. So the concentration of power is going west to New York, and what's after New York? Chicago?
Probably Sydney.
Sydney is not west of New York, but I'm going to buy you an atlas. Atlas for Stephen in Maidstone. Lymington. Alexandra.
Hi.
Alexandra.
Hi. I was saying to your producer.
Yeah.
I've never voted Tory in my life,
but?
Being the daughter of a Welsh miner,
right,
and a East End London girl. But I was so desperate to get Brexit done, which he promised, and he did, he has more or less carried out. All this business of poor old Mrs May getting 2:00 flights to the European Union was really getting me down. So I thought, but vote for Boris, and he did get in, as you say. I also think, Nick, that if it wasn't for this COVID, I do think he would have put into all the actions for the people up north that he promised he would. I really do believe that. But because of COVID, he's been shown up to be a shambling mess. I'm not proud of him being our Prime Minister. So I didn't particularly like Tony Blair. He looked Prime Minister. David Cameron, he looked like a Prime Minister. Boris is, like I say, an embarrassing mess. And like I say, I do think that COVID has stopped him doing the things I believe he would have done.
But what makes you think that, though? Because, I mean, you know, the Conservative Party have never shown...
I do believe he would, Nick. I really do believe he would.
But the Conservative Party has never shown the slightest interest in any of the areas of the country that you're talking about. So why do you think they've changed now?
I do think they've changed, not just to, become our government. I really do believe that they would have carried it out. I think so many things. I mean, this austerity thing. Listening to an American chap about a year ago, he was saying the austerity needn't have happened in this country.
Yeah.
He said Boris is doing all the right things now. That was before all the COVID came in, because he is promising to build the country up. He's spending money right, left and centre. He's doing what the Tories should never have stopped doing 10 years ago.
Well,
there you go.
They are spending money, but are they spending it in the right place?
What now? A lot of it's going, to fight the virus. I mean, as you know, we're borrowing trillions, and it has to be paid back. But no, I mean, as I say, Nick, now, no, I'm not proud of him at all. He hasn't handled it, and the team he's got, like stupid, Gavin Williamson, what a twit he is. And Chris Galing, I think he was under Mrs May, but he was another twit.
Actually, the only person that gets a positive vote or like a positive rating in this new poll is Rishi Sunak, Mr. Meal Deal. And I would suggest that the reason for that is that he's the one that's been giving out the money.
Yes, I must admit, to start with, I thought, yes, he'd make a good Prime Minister. But there's been a few things found wrong in what he's done as well. There's nobody there, Nick. There's nobody there that I could vote for thinking, yes, he'd make a good Prime Minister. No, apart from Tom, was it Tom? I can't pronounce his surname. Tom Tugendhat.
Right. Why him?
He speaks a lot of sense.
Right, okay.
From what I hear him. But no, there you go. I wouldn't have voted Tory if it wasn't for Brexit. I'm glad that got through, or is getting through. I'm sure that we're going to have a couple of years at least, once it all gets sorted out at the end of this year, to get on our feet again, definitely, whether it was COVID or not. But I'm prepared for that. I voted in 75. I'm 75 now. I voted in 1975 because it was of the common market. But now it's, well, I mean...
Right, well, let's not go over those no, points
I know,
again.
But yeah.
But okay, all right. So you're expressing a certain dissatisfaction with the current administration. I get it. Oh, look, Stockton on Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yeah, good evening. Good morning, Nick.
Yes,
sorry.
Brian.
This is pathetic, Nick, what you're trying to do.
Is it?
At this moment in time. Look, you're trying to reopen a case. We don't know if he did do the second trip or not. You're trying to reopen something.
It's not reopening it. These are new revelations. No, it's not.
Well, it hasn't been proved yet. But what you were trying to do tonight is, the expert said there might be another spike. And you were trying to whip up this story, what wasn't out the news for weeks and weeks.
It's going to be all over the papers tomorrow.
Yes, but you were doing your best to get it in the papers tonight.
It's already in the papers tomorrow.
You're becoming a very dangerous...
I'm just reporting what is in the papers, Brian.
Yeah, yes, and you're so biased on it is unbelievable.
I'm just reporting the facts as they are laid out.
Right. Did he actually put any lives in danger when he done this trip to Durham?
Yes.
No, he never.
Yes.
The police...
He absolutely did. Listen to me. If the public has the public has lost confidence in the government because of his actions, which is verifiably true, then yes, he has put lives in danger. Obviously. Right.
Say Joe Public done it right. You're saying they couldn't do it. The police said anybody Joe Public in the street, all they would have got was a warning. Then he never put lives in danger, but they said he would have got a warning told to go back.
Well, Joe Public isn't running the country.
Right. Now, just a second.
What a ridiculous argument.
Have you ever had a Labour bloke called Barry Gardner?
Yes, of course. He isn't running the country either. He's not part of the government.
He's a big name in the Labour Party.
Yes.
Right? Now, when Black Lives Matter were on the street...
Is this another what about argument?
No, it's just...
It is, isn't it? It's a what about argument. What about this? What about that? As though that has any relevance to what we're talking about.
But it has complete relevance if you listen for a change.
It doesn't.
It does.
It has no relevance at all. We're talking about the government. Is Barry Gardner a member of the government?
Did Barry Gardner put lives at risk?
No. So it's a what about, isn't it?
Did Barry Gardner put lives at risk?
Oh, all right, then I will agree with you. Yes.
What was done about it?
What do you think should have been done about it?
It wasn't in the papers for weeks, was it?
What do you think should have been done about it?
He should have been sacked because he put lives at danger.
So is your position that Dominic Cummings should have been sacked?
But no, the police...
Well, then I don't understand how you can possibly hold those two opinions at the same time.
If Barry Gardner had been investigated, the police would have fined him because he put lives at risk. Can you see that? He put lives at risk, Gardner.
But
he would have been fined by the police. He wouldn't have been given a warning.
Barry,
he would have been fined.
Brian, how on earth can somebody who is able to walk upright hold those two opinions, those two disparate opinions at the same time? That one man, because he was part of the Labour Party, should have been sacked, but another man who was a part of the government should not.
We've got Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford done a 600-mile trip.
This is another what about, isn't it?
No, what
It
we're trying
is.
to say is...
This is
not
another
the
what
word-
about.
what
Why
we're trying to
Why
say-
do you find it difficult to just
No.
stick to the subject?
Because you were trying to reopen this now. At the time...
I'm
when
trying
all
to,
the
and you bring up Barry Gardner, and you accuse me of trying to reopen
and what
a
you-
closed
and what-
case. The
I don't
difference
care about Barry
being,
Gardner.
of course, that
No, no.
Dominic Cummings is a part of the government, albeit unelected,
Nick.
and there is a subsequent trip that we did not know about. This is why it's news. Is because it's news.
Can you take another week, fortnight, or 3 weeks of this again? At this stage, when we're trying to... There might be another spike.
Oh,
in the paper
because
going
you're
about
because
this.
you're bored. We should just get over it.
But it's not a good thing to do, is it? To whip up problems at this moment. Let's see about it after it's all over. The race is all over.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing it now, Nick.
Okay.
But no, you can't. The problem is, Remainers just cannot accept.
Oh
Brexit,
my
can
God!
they?
You lost. Get over it. Is that where we're
not
going?
that.
It's
Well, yeah,
absolutely what it
But
is.
Nick, you haven't got over it.
You lost. Get over it.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What about this? What about that? And it all comes down to Brexit. We can't disagree with the dear leader or anything that he or any of his cohorts do, because Brexit. You lost. Get over it. Oh my God! It's just so fantastically childish. The people who engineered this must be just laughing their heads off. So utterly predictable. My God, Brian, it's pathetic. I've talked to you many, many times, and I've described you as a troll before, and this is what you do. If you genuinely hold these beliefs, then I suppose I commiserate. I mostly commiserate the people that are living with you, because you must be an absolute nightmare. Here's Ealing. Hello, Anthony.
Oh, hello. Well, I loathe and detest football. I was made to go to football by my older brother, and I find it, like your effect there, boring. And you don't get intellectual people at football, although this is where we're going now. Intellectualism is now the province of some football clubs like Burnley.
Is it?
And things like that. Well,
what makes you
according
think
to that awful bloke who used to support Mr. Blair, what's his name, Campbell. It's boring, and I'm sorry, football is not the home of intellectualism. It's football.
Whoever said that?
No, but it's being implied by people like Mr. Campbell, Blair's old mate, when they were talking about Burnley, when they were making statements about all this business and Black Lives Matter, which I disapprove of.
But okay, so there's quite a bit to unpick there. I don't understand what Burnley's got to do with anything. So maybe I missed the news. What happened there?
Campbell, who I never liked,
Alistair
Blair's
Campbell,
old mate, he's a supporter of Burnley, and
Right.
he's going on about it. He's some kind of professional Scotsman, they were involved a few weeks ago about making sort of political statements about this sort of issue and about racism. I don't know if you remember it, but I do, and I thought, what a load of rubbish. You know, football is not the home of intellectualism.
Well,
is it?
but nobody ever has accused football or footballers of being the home of intellectualism.
No, but this has been going on with Blair's mate and Burnley, which is the team he supports, and that was quite an issue at one time, going on about racism.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't really know what you're talking about. So
well, you obviously didn't read it.
Well, I obviously didn't
no
read it. No.
But the point is, the BBC, and I don't like their management, they always have Black Lives thing on their little films they show in between their bulletins. It's always there very, very prominently. I don't approve of Black Lives Matter. I think if we see all lives matter, it's divisive. I don't agree with it. And I don't like these phrases like black and white anyway. I think they're an overgeneralisation, and to describe people just by some kind of racial contacts, it's not really describing them at all, because black people don't come from all the same background. They don't all have the same views any more than so-called white people.
Well, again, but I don't think that's ever been implied. Calling people black or white is just descriptive of their skin colour, not an indication of what their politics are or their social standing or anything else.
But when you get to the phrase Black Lives Matter, it's divisive. That is what is being described. Black Lives Matter. Oh, no one else's lives matter. Well, what about everybody's lives matter? It's divisive. It's being implied.
But it isn't. Don't you?
All right.
Surely the meaning of Black Lives Matter it implies that up to this point they have mattered less. That's the whole point, isn't it?
Well, that's a matter of opinion, and it's a movement. It's not just trying to describe a situation. We know that racism exists. Racism will always exist, I'm sorry to say, and I think people are attracted to that movement because they think they're going to get rid of racism, which you'll never get rid of.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But surely but if that's true, and I suspect that there is an element of truth in that doesn't mean to say it's not a journey that's not worth taking. Just because you might never get to your destination, you might get nearer it.
Well, I object to just singling out people, black lives. It's to me, you should care about everybody. All lives matter. All lives matter, right. Not just black lives.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, but the problem is that, and the reason that it exists is that there has never been much dispute about white lives mattering. It's the difference in approach with law enforcement to black people that has caused this movement to arise in the first place. It's that black lives have appeared to matter less to society that caused them to start this movement to begin with.
Well, that's been going on for centuries, and it's a very complex social issue, and I think you need to look at it more broadly instead of narrowing it down. I can understand why certain people are attracted to it, because they think they're going to get rid of racism and never get rid of it, because there's a natural element of why racism exists. It'd be far better if you want to have equality, which has the kind of socialist you want to get. Equal opportunities for black people. I'm all for that. But, all this business about, Black Lives Matter, I think is wrong, because it's implying that white lives don't matter.
No, it doesn't. But that is not the case. It doesn't imply that white lives don't matter, because nobody has suggested or acted in a way that implies that white lives don't matter. That's the whole point. Hampton. Hello, Matthew.
Oh, good evening to you, Nick.
Matthew.
Hope you're well.
Very, thank you.
Always an interesting debate. Now, have to say, you put it bluntly to the penultimate caller, which I fully agree with. Now, at the end of the day, there's more educated people than me out there, thank goodness. And we've had MPs on Rachel Johnson's show this evening talking about, the ballot and, voting in or voting out, and, whether we wanted a deal or no deal. But there was no option on whether it was going to be a deal or no deal. And to be honest with you, as I said to your excellent producer, the bottom line is it's a case of the EU need us more than we need them.
Oh,
whether it be a case of
I can't believe people are still saying that. What leads you to that conclusion?
Right, I tell you what leads me to that conclusion. During the summer months, whether it be from May to the end of August, early September, people like Spain or Turkey or, certain resorts depend on the English to go over there, whether they be lager louts or normal people that, just want to go there for a holiday.
Right. Tourists.
Yeah, tourists, yeah. We don't need these tourists because we've got a number of Americans that visit London, and to me, they're quite well behaved overall, and also
loud but well behaved, right?
Yeah, reasonably so.
So it's a tourism thing. That's why Europe needs us more than we need them. A tourism thing.
Yes.
Right. Okay, but that sounds nothing compared to industry, compared to manufacturing, compared to the financial finagling sector. Birmingham, Andy.
Hi, Nick.
Andy.
First of all, I love your sound effects, and I wish there was an app that I could download to play them, because I would use them quite often.
Right. Okay.
I was also in response to, I think it was Sophie. So I work in a busy A&E department. I have done for a long time. I've been with the NHS for about 15 years.
Yeah, whereabouts?
Do you know what? I'd rather not say, because I don't want to speak for any of my colleagues or be a demographic of the spokesman.
No, I'm not asking for the hospital. I'm just whereabout in the country, more or less.
Okay, so sort of Midlands-ish.
Midlands-ish. And how is A&E now?
It's busy, buddy. Really busy. And it's always busy.
But it's always busy. But in, what we're talking about, the virus, how busy is it in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, it's peaking a bit again, which we kind of knew. I think people have a little bit complacent and maybe lazy, I hate to say, but maybe with our isolation or even our belief in the virus. I mean, that's a bit scary, I think.
Peaking a bit. I mean, that's not really the stories that we're hearing. We're hearing that it's overrun and they're so full they can't squeeze anybody else into a hospital. That's not really what you're saying. Peaking a bit. But doesn't it always peak a bit at this time of year?
No, sorry. Digressing slightly, it was more responding to Sophie about the instant feel that, or the change to our life that we might feel now that we've left the EU. And I'd like to just respond to that. And I think one of the things is about the immigration policy, whether we believe in it or not, whether we think that we allow too many people to come to this country. And I've treated millions of people, probably just about every nationality. I have many friends of many nationalities, and I treat people without prejudice. But one of the problems where especially in the Midlands, when some of the immigration figures were going up, some of the people were inviting their families over too, which has increased the amount of A&E admission. And I was seeing that. I see that every day that I work.
Yes, but if people can come here legally in the first place, they can invite their families. That hasn't changed with the EU.
No, that's true. I think but I think
I mean, what nationality are you talking about? Not Europeans.
I think the point system is changing, isn't it, for the Europeans to come to our country?
Yes, but you're not talking about Europeans, are you?
Well, yeah, mainly. I
mean,
I think it's all the same for the rest of the world, isn't it? They will be but certainly, to focus on Europe for a second, I think, and that may result into the guys and girls that are coming over here to work not inviting their families over, and that's kind of stressing the system a little bit. So if that lady, God forbid, ends up in A&E, she may not end up waiting 4 hours or 6 hours. She may end up waiting less to be seen because.
Okay, but there's several things there. First of all, if somebody comes over here to work and to live here, then just as you would if you went to live in Australia or America, you would benefit from having the ability to get your immediate family over there. I mean, it seems a bit cruel to ask people to come over here and do our dirty work, which is essentially what people are doing in great numbers coming from the EU, and they've got to sit here in lonely isolation because why? Because we haven't built enough hospitals, because we've not had enough doctors trained, because we haven't got enough nurses trained. All of it's because of the serial failure of successive governments. It's got precious little to do with people coming over here and taking our waiting room seats.
Well, it's not. Well, the thing is, it's going to have that effect, isn't it, Nick? If people are coming over and they're ill and they're owed and they're able to get free healthcare, which is an awesome, awesome system, then it is going to put a stress on the system. And Sophie, I think her name was, she has been one of those people that perhaps has had to wait much longer than normally in A&E, or when she's been to see her GP, she's not been able to get a 2-week referral for something. Maybe that's gone wait, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Again, Andy, if people are going to come over here to do jobs that we don't want to do, are we expecting them to sit here in lonely isolation? Or would it be more civilised to allow them to have their family come and live here with them if they are choosing to live here in this country and doing jobs that we have elected not to do?
It's lovely that they invite their family. I mean, isn't that lovely? It's almost like what fairy tales are made of, isn't it? But is there...
Okay. I think you just stepped over a line there. Let's have a call in Bromley. Luke.
Hello. Hi. Good morning.
Luke.
I just wanted to bring a bit of excuse the pun, but a bit of education to the conversation, because when you issue school lunches, it's not just £3 for school lunch, or as you worked out, it's actually 50p or whatever. When a child is entitled to school lunches, free school lunches, they get other grants as well. You can apply for free school uniform. You can apply for free sports gear. You can have discounted or free music lessons. A child who has school lunches can also even be given money or paid to go on school journeys, journeys and trips, such as skiing to France and things. There's a lot more to it than just a free lunch.
Skiing in France?
Well, if that's the trip that they do, yeah, because they're not allowed to, just basically send all the rich kids on holiday and not the cheap ones, the poor ones. I know this because my dad was a headmaster and then the executive head, and these things have to be taken into account. And actually, schools can get paid more money if they have children who are on school lunches as well, free school lunches. They actually like having those children because they bring more money into the school. In addition to that, every child that has private tuition gets paid about £30 more per child by the government for every session they have. Such as if there's summer clubs and things, the government will pay the school, say, £10 per pupil for a private session, whereas if it's a free school lunch child, they get about £30.
Right, so it's
massive. It's not just free school lunches.
So it's the hunger is mitigated by the potential for a skiing trip to France. Is that what you're saying?
It's not hunger, it's based on their affordability. And so if school lunches indicates that they're obviously poorer and they need more financial help.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So I don't think people factor those in. The cost to the government is massive if you really issue lots of free school lunch children, if you categorise a child as free school lunches.
Right. So what with that whole skiing thing? It's
well, don't worry about the skiing thing. That's just an example. If you go to Ireland to do whatever, they can officially. The school would have to pay for them, but they get the grants, from the government.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Honestly,
it's more than just lunches.
Not really. No. Okay. So it's more than just lunches. It's skiing trips and whatever else you just said. Okay.
Your call is important to us.
Your call is important to me. Brian in Stockton-on-Tees.
Yes, okay, Nick.
Yes, Brian.
Well, the Remainers are so angry tonight, aren't they? All you Remainers.
The what?
All you Remainers are very angry tonight. I wonder why.
All we Remainers? What are you talking about?
Well, I've made an observation, right? And the difference between Remainers and Leavers is Remainers look as though they've just sucked a lemon. But Leavers, if they sucked the lemon, it wouldn't take the smile off the faces. It just shows you who's winning this, doesn't it?
You've got to be kidding me, Brian. You right-wingers, you never stop whining. I mean, this is what you're like when you think you've won. What could it possibly be like if you ever get the idea that you've actually been duped and you've really lost?
You won't. I'll tell you what, you're going to lose all credibility soon, the way you're going on.
God. Last time you called me, I mean, you do call all the time. But the last time we spoke,
you like me calling, don't you? You like me calling, don't you?
Yeah. Well, how many times do you wait an hour and I accidentally forget to put you on?
Very rarely.
Yeah.
You put me on very quickly, actually.
Quite a lot.
Stop telling lies. Stop telling lies.
Brian,
Right.
you were the first caller tonight. It's taken me 23 minutes to get up the.
Can we talk about what we're going to talk about? Can we, instead of
No, I think the last time you called, you stepped through the curtain and you dropped your act. So, I mean, right. I didn't believe it really to begin with, but now I've seen that this really is just you trolling. You're just winding me up.
Nick.
You absolutely are. I mean, to come on and say that all Ramonas look like they've sucked a lemon. I mean, God, come on. It's pathetic. I can't be bothered to listen to the rest of what it is that you're gonna tell me, because I know it's just you're just saying it in order to get an angry reaction, which is what you live off. Kind of like like a prawn hanging around a sewage outlet. That's how I'm going to think of you from now on. Is that okay? Gloucester, Noel.
Hiya, Nick. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Oh yeah. One thing I can mention about the EU was the TPD rules that came in over vaping. Basically, what they did is they
raping. Did you say raping?
Vaping.
Oh, vaping.
Vaping.
Right.
Tobacco.
That makes more sense.
Corrected. Basically, what they did is they said that you're only allowed to have real small bottles of liquid. That put the price up of vaping. Also, smaller tanks. And I watched this right from the beginning when it came out, because I was diagnosed with COPD and I started vaping.
Right, is that wise?
And I was following through different companies what was going on.
Can I just ask you, from a medical perspective, you have COPD, chronic
obstructive pulmonary
disease.
Right.
Yes, but you continue to smoke. Is that wise?
I vape.
Yeah,
no,
that's smoking. That's smoking.
Well, can I just say something about vaping quickly? Right, I had an X-ray where I was diagnosed with it. Mm-hmm. I have an X-ray every 6 months. I've been vaping 5 years, and it has not changed. It's not got any worse. Okay, so
has it got any better?
COPD never does get better. The damage is done. And like Macmillan's Trust with the cancer, they advise vaping.
I bet they advise not smoking at all.
Yes, if you've never smoked, don't start vaping.
Yeah, or just give up. Just stop vaping.
But if you do smoke, then go on to vaping.
No, don't. If you do smoke, just stop smoking.
But it's easier said than done.
No, it isn't. Just do it.
Well, it is.
No, it isn't.
Well, it's not. It is. Anyway,
no, it isn't.
I mean, it's all going off.
You either want to stop smoking or you don't.
Right, with TPD, when they brought in TPD, before it was brought in...
What's TPD?
Tobacco Products Directive.
Oh, my God, are you still whining about vaping? Who cares?
No, but you're saying name something that's had a negative effect.
Oh, for crying out loud. And that's what you could come up with? Are you kidding me?
No, I can't. France gets 90% of quota of cod in this country.
Yeah, you know why?
Our waters,
I don't think that's... I think that's way out.
They haven't been sold off.
Yes, they have.
No, they haven't.
Yes, they have.
How can the EU just say, oh, well, France can have 90% of the quota of cod?
Oh, my God, still going on about the fish.
The reason we catch mackerel and herring is because we're not allowed to catch our cod.
Nonsense.
No, it ain't nonsense.
It is nonsense. The cod around these parts is too small for our purpose, so we go catch Norway's cod and Icelandic cod. That's why when you go to the supermarket, it says Norway and Iceland on it.
That's rubbish.
It's not rubbish. It's cod. It's a perfectly good fish.
Right, listen, sea bass. We weren't allowed to catch sea bass. We weren't even allowed to stand on the bank and catch it by rod and line because the EU stopped us.
Oh, the blooming EU. Why? In order to maintain fish stocks, because it would be better to maintain fish stocks than have no blooming fish at all.
What I'm saying is, you see, you're being tribalistic.
I'm being tribalistic.
You are.
You've lost your mind, Noel.
No,
you have swallowed.
You're not willing to meet in the middle.
No one's willing to meet. Where's the middle?
Exactly.
There is no middle, Noel.
such a rubbish thing going on now? Because
I see.
right from the beginning,
I
when
see.
Brexit happened,
It's
there was
my
a mass
fault.
consensus in government,
Mm-hmm.
in the Parliament, there was a mass consensus for a customs union. That's what I wanted, a customs union.
Right.
Right? I wanted to leave the political, since the Maastricht Treaty, too much political influence, but stay in the economic market.
Like, political influence, like what? Like what kind of political influence?
Would not accept it.
Some old nonsense about vaping fish.
See, when you've got no argument, you take the mickey. When you've got no argument, you take the mickey.
No, I do have an argument, yes, I do. I have refuted everything that you have said so far, and I'm taking the mickey as a bonus. Anyway, it's been sensational, Noel. Something about vaping fish. Who cares? Manchester. Hello, Tony.
Hello?
Tony.
Yeah. Is that Nick?
Is that Tony?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
How nice to speak to you again. I have spoken to you before.
Oh, yeah.
I'd just like to reiterate what the gentleman before was trying to say was not so much what Europe are telling us, but when we were given the vote, should we come in or should we stay in or go out of Europe? And according to the figures, 48% said that and 52. Well, I don't believe that for a minute. I think it were far higher people wanting to come out. But
why don't you believe it?
Because every vote they have in the government, it's always 48-52. It doesn't make sense. Anyway.
Well, no, wait a minute. So you don't believe it because it's too close?
I've heard it on so many other things.
You've read it on the internet?
No, I don't use the internet.
No, right.
So what I'm going on to say is that...
Can we just back up a second? Why don't you believe that it's 48-52? I mean, we're just split down the middle.
It's whenever they have a vote on anything. So you listen.
So what are you suggesting? That the people who it fixed, but leave one? If you're saying that that Ramona's fixed it, then wouldn't they have fixed it so that they won, not lost by a small amount? What would be the point of that?
But because it gives, they can run this for years, and milk it as much.
Tony, think about what you're saying. You're saying that the vote was fixed by the people who lost.
No.
You are. That's exactly what you're saying.
What I'm saying is, listen, everybody I know, and I know a lot of people...
Oh, my God, they all think the same as you.
No, not necessarily. But what they all say is they'll never vote again.
Good.
Because of what happened. Now,
there's a lot of people in this country who should not be allowed to vote or reproduce, for that matter.
I understand that. But the whole point about it is that people have lost all faith in anything the government, and this is why they won't stay at home and they keep going out, because if something as important as that can be overturned, which they very nearly did it.
Oh, please. No, they didn't. They didn't do anything of the sort. What are you talking about? They overturned the verdict.
No,
when?
They very nearly changed the vote, and we nearly stayed in Europe.
In what way? In what way did they do that? By fixing the vote to be 48-52. The genius people who presumably live in hollowed-out volcanoes. They're so good at their charlatanism that they change the vote to only lose by a bit. What would be the point of that?
Nick, let me just refresh your memory. You had Jeremy Corbyn that said, we are going to stick by the vote that the people did.
Yeah.
And then in the next breath, he's saying, well, yeah, I think we ought to have another referendum, I think we ought to have another go at it.
Yes. Well, what would be wrong with that? But they didn't. I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying that the people fixed the vote to lose.
What I'm saying is that this people can't understand why the government are telling us you mustn't mix with people, you must stop going out, you mustn't meet up in pubs, and they know it's futile because they're going to overturn it anyway.
Who's going to overturn what?
Like Dominic Cummings, he can get away with that. This other lady.
It's no surprise. It's no surprise that it's one rule for them and one rule for us. I mean, that doesn't shock you, does it?
No. I'm just making a point, and this is why people are totally ignoring everything.
I don't think they are doing anything of the sort.
Well, you've seen all this celebration in Liverpool, football matches going ahead, people going to raves, parties, meeting up, 200 at a wedding,
Yeah, but that doesn't represent the majority of the people. That's just outliers. It's true. Well, how have you been acting, Tony?
Totally responsible.
There you go. That's most people.
But I'm at an age where...
How old are you?
70. But I'm
70 years old.
I'm young.
And you still have all of your faculties.
Well, almost. I've got patents out anyway. Do you have any European patents?
For what? I'm going to regret asking that. Go on.
Well, I've got some for some of the major companies, mainly in the building trade.
Patents? For what?
They're protected. I have an international patent on them.
Yeah, but for what, though?
Building. I can't tell you. Because
of course you can if you've got a patent out on it. Of course you can.
Well, I've got a patents out on ceiling fixings. Do you know what a noggin is, Nick?
Yes, but we're not allowed to talk about that before midnight.
Well, it's a keg of beer, but it's also a timber support in between ceiling joists that stop your plasterboards sagging. Right. And I've got a patent on that, an international patent.
Right, because nobody's invented that before? Joists?
No. They just used to put a piece of timber in, but it takes ages to do. The one I came up with is a metal strut. As you put your plasterboards on, you slip the noggin onto the edge of the board, and then the other one slips in, but with two lugs, and it stops it dropping down.
Right, that sounds about the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life. And please don't do it with anybody outside of your personal bubble. Always wear protection. Thanks a lot, Tony. Foire in France. Martin, Foire?
Yes.
No such place. You just made it up.
No, I didn't.
Right, like I said, Foire. I know it well. It's a delight.
Yeah, it's in the foothills of the Pyrenees. You can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yes, I can hear you. You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So,
no, thank you.
Are we still doing the 70s, or are we...
Sure, why not?
Okay. So, I left the Channel Islands, in, 1974. I went to work in a Swiss ski resort for a couple of years.
Which one?
Gstaad.
Yes.
And then I got a job on a private yacht.
Doesn't get much posher than Gstaad.
No, it doesn't. It's a fantastic place anyway. But it's been ruined now anyway. I mean, this is... And by 1980, I'd gone across the Atlantic on a private yacht, and I was in Barbados waiting to think about what to do next.
Yes. Why are you telling us all this?
Well, because you've been having, what you would call a variety of people and a variety of subjects. I mean, I can do Brexit if you want to, or what the French think about it all, or whatever. But, I've had a privileged situation. I live here now. I've got 4 children, and they're all still within France. Actually, one's working in Luxembourg.
Yes, I did that. I worked in Luxembourg. Luxembourg is the most interesting capital city on earth. Boring! Oh, my God, it couldn't be more dull.
I like its kind of Germanity. I like the kind of... Because, I worked in Switzerland, and I just like this way that everything just sort of worked, if you know what I mean.
It works in the sense that they don't. They don't seem to work. Everything closes for lunch for about 3 hours, shuts at half a day on Saturday, never opens on Sunday. I've said this before. They had a sandwich shop that closed for lunch in
This is
Luxembourg.
not Switzerland. It could be France. I would agree with you in France, because here they are a bit what you would call not necessarily laid back, but they
Thought it was going to get much worse than that, but go ahead. Laid back.
No, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I know about it. I know about it here, where you go somewhere and at 1:45 they go in. I'm sorry, the kitchen's closed.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And you're in a tourist town and everything else, but they don't kind of get it.
Right. Well, by it, do you mean they don't get that they should give up their quality of life for the convenience of others, like we do in this country?
Yes. Well, I think that's now becoming a bit of a myth, because I think there's an idea that, France is all, 2 CVs driving around, people having 2-hour lunches, but in actual fact, right now it's a bit of a country of anarchy. They actually indoctrinate their children.
In Fri?
Well, in Fri, this is a socialist town, okay? And I've got to say, we're about an hour from Toulouse, and Toulouse is a hotbed of socialism.
But what do you mean by socialism?
Well, I think France is basically still a socialist country. I mean, Mitterrand put all the rules in place, which now that poor old Macron, he's got no chance of changing.
Yeah, but what do you mean by socialism? What is it that is perplexing you that is socialist?
It's not perplexing me at all. It's just the outlook of this country is very difficult to change.
But what do you mean by socialist? Define socialism.
I can't do that.
Well,
okay,
you obviously know it when you see it. So what is it that is about their lifestyles that is so socialist?
Okay, so I was born in West Cumbria.
Oh my God, we're going back in time again.
Yeah, but this is what you would call a Labour stronghold. I think Fred Pert, who was the agricultural minister, come from there.
Right, this has nothing to do with the question that I just asked you. What is so socialist about about Toulouse, for instance?
Well, that's the way they vote in
but
their
what
in their
is it
system.
about them that is socialist?
Okay, well, there was a guy called Jean Jaurès, okay, who was the founder of a kind of political movement before socialism was defined.
Oh my God, we're going back in
obviously
history again. Just answer the question.
hell.
What is it about the Toulouse people that you define as being socialist?
Nick, I can't do it, right? Okay.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad you called. If you mean the workers do not give up the benefit of their own travails to the management in total, that they get nothing, and the CEOs get ever more fabulously rich, if that's what you mean by socialism, well, that seems like a good thing, doesn't it? Shouldn't the wealth be spread about a bit? What amazes me is that people who have nothing defend the system as it is. That, oh, no, we don't want to spread the wealth around because, that's the socialism. Wouldn't want that. And then they defend the NHS as being the envy of the world, which, of course, it's not. But in their mind, you can't criticise it in any way, shape or form because that makes you a traitor. But what is the NHS if it's not so socialist? Let's have... oh, look, it's Stockton-on-Tees. Brian.
Yes, okay, Nick.
Yes, okay, Brian.
Well, I've been listening to the show tonight, Nick.
Very disappointed, I expect.
I am. I've got a challenge on a few things, I mean, you keep going about Donald Trump. Now, it's a bit hypocritical from you because you are the same as Donald Trump. You are the exact same as Donald Trump. Propaganda through your show all the time, putting your point of view, shutting out others, which is what Trump does. You only have to. You tell as many lies as Trump every show. You probably tell more lies than Trump.
What lie have I told on this show?
Well, you keep saying things like a complete opposite. Anything English, you call. Anything English, you put down like a ton of bricks.
What lie? What lie?
Scotland,
Brian, what lie have I told on this show?
Well, you keep saying that Boris Johnson is the same as Donald Trump, and you say it 100 times a show.
He's not.
Well, I don't recall me saying that he is the same as. I may have said that he comes from the same.
You were saying right about Donald Trump. You're saying he's as bad as Hitler.
No.
Where are you getting this from, Nick?
I didn't say he. No, I specifically did not say he was as bad as Hitler. I said that he had a book of Hitler's speeches on his bedside table, from which he took all sorts of things, like "Make America Great Again." That was a Hitler phrase.
Right. He's lost the election. Biden is going to
Well, you tell him that.
Yes, but all we're saying is he will, right? And the thing is, right, on Trump, right, in America, anything goes in America. You can't sort American politics out. Biden will not change much, because it's the same as here, right? He can't get things passed, just the same as Donald Trump can't get things passed. The only person with a strong position, really, if he grows some, is Boris Johnson in this country. He's got an 80-seat majority, but he's stuttering. He's having second thoughts on things. Dominic Cummings has just gone.
Second thoughts? I'd be surprised if he had a first thought on things.
Dominic Cummings, right, has just gone, hasn't he?
Apparently,
right?
Yeah. So we're led to believe.
And I tell you what, he's going to come storming back if he sells out on Brexit. If he doesn't get salty with this country, right, you've got Farage coming back with a Reform Party.
Oh, for crying out loud.
He's going to be in big trouble, I'm telling you.
Any moment now, you're going to say something about fish.
No, nothing to do with fish. But the thing is, I don't want you talking about mackerel again. Just going to that thing, which is another lie you tell.
What is?
About the mackerel, isn't it? There's another lie you tell.
What lie is there about mackerel?
There's loads of cod. Listen to this. Are you going to listen to me for a second about the fish, are you?
You've been yakking your face off for about the last 5 minutes. What are you talking about?
How much do France get out of the cod in our channel? 93%. The French get 93% of our cod.
The fish we catch round these parts isn't cod, it's mackerel.
It's cod as well.
It's
we
not.
Get cod in our waters.
When you buy cod from the supermarket, it does not say cod from the English Channel.
It's still cod in our channel. It's cod in our channel.
You do not catch cod in the English Channel. You catch cod up around Iceland.
Read up on it, Nick. Iceland are the bigger ones, I agree with you. They have more poundage, the bigger fish. But we still get a lot of cod in our waters. We stay in our waters all the year, right. But they're a smaller species, but it's still a decent size.
Sure, right. Whatever you say, Brian. Yeah.
Right?
Whatever.
But the thing is, right,
what difference does it make? The reason that this whole thing started in the first place is that we had cod, we had fishing quotas which weren't taken from us. We sold them. You can't sell something and then still claim that it's yours.
We've just done quotas with Norway. They've agreed to them. Iceland and all these places, right? The only thing we can't do quotas with is the EU.
I am stunned. It comes down to it's got nothing to do with fish. This is about ruling the waves. It's about silly little flag-waving so-called patriots.
The thing is, right,
it's got zero to do with fish. And I'll tell you, and I'll prove it to you. When has the Conservative government ever been remotely interested in the fishing community?
Well, Ted Heath wasn't. He gave it all away. But listen to this, right? You've got Macron now making a big excuse about fish, isn't he? I want the same quota, the status quota. I want the common fishes policy.
This is such garbage about fish. It's so unimportant to the economy. Nobody cares about the fish apart from silly little people who wrap themselves in the flag and claim that they're patriots. It's got nothing to do with fish. This EU thing about fish, this fish is not the issue with the fish quotas. It's just a flag-waving exercise. It's got, and I keep saying it over and over again, the importance of the fishing industry to this country is less in monetary terms than the importance of the shop Harrods. Harrods creates more money for this country than the whole of the fishing industry put together. It also employs more people. But were we complaining when Harrods got sold to, is it the Qataris who own it? Oh, I've got no idea. One of those countries from over there. When were you marching in the streets complaining that Harrods was sold abroad, Brian?
Look, you give us Harrods thing every time. If we get our fishing back, right, it's worth over $6 billion a year. It's worth 90,000 jobs on land if we get our fishing things back. It's worth a lot of money, Nick, if we get it back.
Rubbish.
That's where you're wrong.
It's just such wrong. Right. Oh, okay. If it was about money, then we wouldn't have left the European Union in the first place.
It's worth $6 billion and plus.
Brexit, by February this year, Brexit has already cost us $200 billion.
Yeah, because of you. Because of the likes of you. It's been going by the time it'll get done, it's been going 4.5 years.
Brexit is set to have cost the UK more than £200 billion in lost economic growth by the end of this year. This was a figure in February, so this doesn't even count COVID. $200 billion in lost economic growth. And you're worried about shillings and pence about the blooming fishing industry. Good God, you people and you flag wavers with your fish. It's pathetic. It all comes down to that. And it's got absolutely zero to do with fish. It's about us ruling the waves. You know, when the map was pink. Just trying to convince ourselves that, it's Britannia rules the waves. That's what it's about with the fish. Nobody cares about fish. Go to any fishing community and they'll be dirt poor. Why? Because the government isn't remotely interested in them. Here is Seaford, East Sussex. Hello, John.
Good evening, Nick. I was just listening to you a little while back about you were talking about EU laws. And I just happened to look up the actual legislation here, and I'm not sure you're actually absolutely correct about it. It says here, as a member of the European Union, Section 2 of the European Communities Act 1972 made provision for EU legislation to become law in the UK. The EU legislation was directly applicable to the UK, which meant that it applied automatically in UK law without any action required by the UK. So that does kind of suggest that EU law could override our law by being automatically applied. Is that not what you were saying?
No, it's not what I was saying.
Right, but that is the case then. So EU law was automatically...
But it's not the end of the case, though, is it? We can apply whatever laws we decide.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure, John. Right. Sure, Nick. But the thing is, at the end of the day, it states quite clearly under the legislation.gov UK.
Yeah, 1973. Right.
Well, this is the European Act of Communities Act 1972. 1972.
Right, too.
Yeah, Section 2 of the European Communities Act 1972.
Are you just going to repeat what you just said?
Well, no, because you said 1973, that was all. So I was just...
Well, I thought that's what you said. It doesn't really make any difference. 72, 73, it's ancient history.
It does say automatically applied, you see? That's what I'm saying.
But then we can do whatever we want, though. We can allow people in as we choose, and we can... it's like they just said if we hadn't been for Brexit, then we wouldn't have been able to get the vaccines out so quick, which was another... barefaced lie. It had nothing to do with the European Union. We could do anything we blooming well liked concerning a vaccine in a pandemic.
Hang on, Nick. Do I get a chance to speak here or not?
I thought you had.
Well, you didn't give me much of a chance, did you? All I was trying to point out to you was that the EU can apply laws.
Are you going to repeat yourself again?
Well, because you're just going off on a tangent again, aren't you? I'm just
no. It's not a tangent. It's another example of what it is you're talking about. You're saying you're making the point that. In your eyes, the European Union has complete control over us. And I'm saying that's utter hogwash, and they've been trying to persuade us that that's the case for the last 4 years. Whereas the people that are saying this either, A, don't know that they're lying, which is alarming, or know that they're lying. Those are the only two options. Either they're incompetent or they shouldn't be in power. Those are the only two options we've got. And they both add up to they shouldn't be in power. Do you really think that you had to go back to 1972, John? That's weak. As though nothing has happened since then. Tottenham, hello, Saul.
Oh, hello. I thought I'd give you a bell tonight because just a couple of things just irritated me.
Give me a bell. Go ahead.
I haven't heard Big Ben in ages. Blimmin' heck.
Yeah, there
I
it is.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it's brought back memories of going up into London.
Of course.
I forgot everything I was going to say now. Yes, that was it. So the pound's dropped a quarter, but I'm actually doing quite well off that.
Great. Well done, you.
I'm selling lots of stuff to the USA. They love buying things from here. They just love buying stuff.
Yeah, because it's like we're giving it away.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, is that the UK, it's very easy to start a business here, and you can make stuff here, and it's unusually easy compared to other European countries. You can start a business, you can make stuff, and you can get it out there quick.
Stuff? What stuff?
Any stuff. You can start trading of your own business and making things here extremely quickly in comparison to some other places I've seen. And I've just started a new business, and I'm selling stuff. And
Stuff? What stuff are you selling?
Oh, okay. I sell musical instruments.
Right.
And I'm selling them. My biggest customer.
What musical instruments are you selling?
I make musical instruments out of recycled materials.
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of materials?
Everything you source from scrap yards, scrap merchants. I find it all, and I fabricate it, and I make it into a musical instrument, and I sell it.
Are these percussive musical instruments?
Yes.
Have you got one to hand?
Well,
it's either yes or no.
I was going to moan at you.
Go on, let's hear it. Give us a tune.
Well, I haven't got...
Oh, come on, stop making excuses.
Yes. Hang on a minute.
Yes.
I've got one. It's normally bowed, but you can hear it played with a pencil.
Right, go on then.
Hang on. But if I play, I've still got something else I want to slightly moan at.
Have you started yet?
Hold on, this is one of the instruments I make.
Right, here we go. Wow, it's like listening to Saucer Full of Secrets by Pink Floyd. That was outstanding.
I put that on the blurb. I'm going to use that, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing I was wanting to say is that it's a good time to export, and I think there's a lot of services we offer here that can be cheap. I was chatting to a friend of mine the other day who's a tour manager, and Britain is brilliant at exporting music, but there's loads of people that understand the music business. And as a tour manager, he's getting loads of work outside the UK.
How is he getting work? There's no such thing as a tour anymore.
No, but I'm not sorry. I backtrack a bit, but before the pounds dropped way earlier than before the COVID situation. But before that, he started to get loads of work outside of the UK and in the US because it was dirt cheap to hire a tour manager from here.
Yes, of course. If the pound is cheaper, then it will make goods more attractive when selling abroad. However, we don't only do that; we import too. And so everything is much more expensive to import than it used to be. I mean, if we only exported stuff and bought things that were made in this country, then it wouldn't really matter. But we're a trading nation, so it matters a lot.
Yes, that's good, because I want to just come on to the sort of import side of things and trading blocks. One thing is, you mentioned this RCEP thing. I thought I'd go and do a fact check. That's just been created, and they haven't even ratified it yet. It's just like a sort of agreement in principle. So I think that's a bit quick off the press, I think.
No, not really. It has become the biggest trading.
It's not trading yet. It's not trading.
It doesn't really matter. It's supplanted.
It does.
Of course it does.
It's just an agreement in principle. It hasn't been signed off by half the countries.
All right. Okay. So if World War III breaks out, then it won't happen.
Anyway,
but
I just thought. That's by the by. But I was just thinking more. I was more interested, in the idea about what a trading bloc was. And the idea about the trading bloc is that I was just thinking, what is a trading bloc? And I thought the idea is that you try and find the countries where the making it's cheaper, and then you get a trading bloc with them so they can make it cheaper and you can then sell it.
No. Most trading blocs are organised geographically because that's the thing that makes sense.
But in that look at the trading bloc with America. Mexico is where everything's produced cheaply and then it's sold in America. And it doesn't seem to have changed that, you know what I mean? And it's the same sort of... I mean, the other thing I thought about is that what we're going to import. I mean, let's look at Italian wine. I mean, if I go to Italy to buy a wine, the same wine is going to cost me £3.
Yes. Well, that's
not true.
In Italy, wine costs £3. Rubbish.
Yeah, a decent bottle of wine is about £3.
Rubbish.
No, it's not rubbish. It's very good wine.
It is rubbish.
It's very good wine.
Nonsense.
It's very good wine.
There's no such thing as good wine that comes at £3.
In Italy, there is. Amazingly.
It's not true.
Yes, it is. I buy a bottle of Nero d'Avola in Sicily for £3. It's fantastic.
Well,
Actually, it's €3.
Well, your idea of what is and is not fantastic wine is way wide of the mark. The bottle and the label and the transport and the manufacturing and the storage cost £3. You basically bought a bottle of wine, the contents of which are a penny.
Look, my point is that I like.
You mean it can get you drunk?
No, my point is that a lot of the reason why it's expensive. People say, it might be more expensive, and whatnot. But actually, a lot of that stuff is tax, and we can lower that. And in terms of goods, we buy a lot of stuff from China, and that's all. All the prices are limited by the EU. So if we're out of that, most of our stuff comes from China anyway. We're probably going to get a better deal. If we just look at the things we buy, like what is it?
You think we're going to get a better deal with China than the European Union?
No, we buy a lot of stuff from China, but it has to come through the European trade laws and everything like that. But if we're out of that, then we're not subject to any of those common prices that we have to pay. And let's look at cars. Cars are going out into 8 years' time. All these German cars. People aren't going to be into them anymore. You can't even drive a car in London anymore. I mean, the Sadiq Khan is going to...
Millions of people drive cars in London. I drive a car in London. What are you talking about?
It's all stopped.
It's all going to stop. Well, how are we going to get around?
You ask Sadiq Khan, because he's going to be putting so many charges...
Sadiq Khan is not going to be in charge forevermore, and he's not going to stop people driving in London. Good grief.
He is. He's going to put
no,
charges
he isn't.
everywhere.
Oh, okay. All right. Sadiq Khan's going to stop people driving in London. I think by jumping to the extreme point of all of your arguments, you're rather shooting yourself in the foot. It just makes me, and I'm sure a lot of people listening, think that you're not making any sense because you just jump to the extreme point of an argument rather than in the middle somewhere, which is probably where the truth lies. Sadiq Khan is not going to stop everybody driving in London. How the hell will we get around? Of course he isn't. All right, here we go. Stockton on Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yes, Happy New Year, Nick.
Yes, Happy New Year, Brian.
I haven't spoken to you since we come to the New Year.
Isn't it just so much better out of the European Union?
We're starting to see things take shape a bit, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
But
they're taking shape, all right.
Just quickly on about the police. We've got to give them a bit of leeway, not be so nitpicky. I mean, they can't win, really, can you, in this situation with this pandemic going on?
The proportion of crimes solved by police in England and Wales fell to the lowest level ever recorded. In the 12 months to March 2019, 7.8% of offences in total saw someone charged or summoned, down from a previous low of 9% a year previously.
But they're taking flack for this pandemic, for pulling people up and fining people £200, the ones in the park and that. And isn't a method in the madness there? They're doing the odd random ones just to let people know.
I can understand if they're breaking up a party or people doing an illegal nightclub, but in Snowdonia? You've got to be kidding me. You can't socially distance in Snowdonia?
But look, they're getting called if they don't do anything. They can't win.
No one's going to criticise the police for not accosting someone in Snowdonia. That's ridiculous.
You will call the police for anything, Nick. I've heard you on about the police before.
That's absolute rubbish, Brian. God, you don't half make stuff up. You're an excruciating bore. Every week he calls. Not even just every week, every day. Let's have Dorset. Hello, Phil.
Hello?
Phil.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's this woman's name up in Scotland, this chief executive? Can't afford ice, is it? Or
Can't afford ice?
Yeah. Why don't they invest in refrigerated trucks and things like that? And that might get the food there fresh, mightn't it?
Well, not if it's fish. You can't just...
If you keep it frozen, it's not going to go off, is it?
Right, you thought about this a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, it's obvious, isn't it?
Not really. If it's fresh fish, then you can't freeze it because that would make it frozen fish.
No, but if you keep it frozen, it doesn't go off.
Yeah, but if it's frozen, it's not fresh.
Well, in fish and chip shops, the cod doesn't go off because they keep it refrigerated, don't they?
No, you mean frozen?
They don't just get it and batter it and freshly caught, do they?
Yeah, but it's not fresh if it's frozen.
Well, it's a bit like that 40 Towers sketch, isn't it? You know, where he says, oh, it's not fresh, it's frozen or something. Ridiculous, really.
Phil, are you seriously trying to tell me that you know the fish business, better than people who've been running
well, she's
trawlers?
Appropriately named, didn't she? Can't afford ice or something.
I know you called in thinking that that this opinion of yours made you somehow superior, but you actually sound like a real. What's the word? What would be a polite way of saying moron? I can't think of anything right now. I'll get back to you, Phil. Here's a call in Uxbridge, beautiful downtown Uxbridge. I know it very well. Hello, Raymond.
Hello.
Has it changed beyond all recognition since I was stuck around that manor in the late 70s, early 80s?
Oh, really?
What?
I rang up to complain about your attitude to Brexit.
Right, can we talk about Uxbridge instead? Because it used to be absolutely hideous. Is it better now?
Well, it's hideous, but in a different way.
In what way?
Well, they've got all these tower blocks and big office blocks, and the place is scarred by HS2.
Is it?
Well, Harefield around there.
Really? HS2's got... Oh, I suppose it would... No, don't you mean Crossrail?
No, HS2.
HS2 goes through Uxbridge?
Yes, well, it goes through Harefield, which is 6 miles north of Uxbridge, but it affects the traffic everywhere because there's queues and queues of lorries everywhere.
God, I can't believe that they're still going on with that. I mean, Boris Johnson was on TV just today with an HS2 hat on, striding around like he's a foreman. They're still going ahead with that. For what reason? I mean, if COVID has told us anything at all, is that people aren't doing those business office meetings anymore. They're doing it on video. It's cheaper. It's quicker. It's entirely better than going from Birmingham to London for a business meeting, perhaps staying overnight with all the massive expense and time that costs. Who wants to do that anymore? That's what that train was for, to ferry business people between the two great metropolises in this country. And that ain't going to happen anymore. They're not going to have those customers anymore. It's insane to carry on with that.
I'm talking about the route they chose. Who in their right mind would build a railway from London to Birmingham that had to tunnel under the Chilterns? The money is colossal. Yeah. The Romans knew the way to Birmingham, the A5. The canal builders knew the way to Birmingham. The turnpike people knew. The motorway people in the 60s knew. Put the M1 up alongside the A5.
Yeah.
That's the way to Birmingham. That's the flattest way. But no, they go and choose a route where they have to go in a viaduct over lakes, spoiling the vista, and they have to tunnel under the Chilterns.
It's so bizarre that I mean, I don't want to engage in conspiracy theories, but it seems as though there has to be some other explanation than providing a rail line that gets you from Birmingham to London 10 minutes quicker than before. I mean, that's such a stupid reason to go through all this unbelievably expensive nonsense to provide us with something that people won't want when it's built.
The only thing they'll want is a high-speed vacuum tube train.
Yeah, that Elon Musk thing, that's a good idea. Yeah. That is the future.
Yeah.
Building a railway line isn't. It's the past. We're building a railway line to the past. Yeah, doesn't that sound like a Conservative administration? Anyway,
what I really rang up to talk about is your attitude to Brexit.
Oh, but we were getting along so well.
Yes, but you're such a toddler. You scream and shout about Brexit.
Who, me?
You've done Brexit,
Yeah.
and I didn't want it. So I'm going to scream and shout.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you do that? Why can't you just accept democracy?
Because it wasn't won by democratic means. They cheated.
They didn't cheat.
They absolutely did. Yes, there was Russian interference, which is, and the evidence of that is that the government is so frightened of us knowing that they refused all invitations to investigate it.
Well,
they didn't find any evidence of it because they absolutely flat out refused to look.
So after Brexit, there was a Conservative victory. Did they engineer that?
Well,
And then there was
I mean, if you want to break it down, there were more votes for parties that either wanted a second referendum or who wanted to stay in the EU than there were for parties than there were. Well, I don't think that's what you're talking about. You're not talking about who won. You're talking about the will of the people, are you not?
No, I'm talking about the way our democracy works.
No, I didn't think you were talking about that at all. I thought you were talking about the will of the majority of the people in this country. Don't change your argument to.
You won't accept it. You won't shut up and move on.
There is no moving on, Raymond. We're still in the midst of it. We haven't done it yet.
Well, no. So we haven't seen the benefits yet.
There are no benefits. What benefits could there possibly be?
Well, we won't be ruled by foreigners for a start.
Yes, we are. Donald Trump is a foreigner. He is running us now. He's dictating our tax laws. He's dictating which corporations we can do business with. He's dictating which companies we can tax and by how much. Everything has to get run by him now, just because we are desperate to get a trade deal that will mitigate a tiny % of the loss that will be incurred by leaving the European Union with no deal.
I've seen no evidence of this, but could you quote me some?
You've seen no evidence?
Yes.
Oh my God, do you get the news where you live, Raymond?
Yes.
I mean, has the internet reached Uxbridge yet?
Yes.
Just look it up, man.
You get the email.
Mail, yeah. Well, okay, you might want to read another paper. Don't believe everything you read in one news source. Cross-reference. Look at another news source. Look at one that maybe has the opposite editorial stance to the one that you are used to. Even in the Mail you can find everything that I've just outlined. Even the Mail will tell you that Donald Trump is now dictating our tax laws. Stockton on Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yes, hello, Nick.
Brian.
Well, you're giving Boris a lot of flack again tonight, the way he's handling things.
I know, isn't it so mean of me? He doing so well and all.
And what's the alternative, Nick?
Oh, God, anything else would be better. Is Sooty or Sweep available?
Keir Starmer's the alternative, isn't he? Sir Keir Starmer.
No, of course he isn't the alternative. An alternative would be another Conservative. They having free reign for the next few years.
Right. Well, we're saying Keir Starmer was in charge. He wants to lock down the whole country.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Nick?
Boris is going to do precisely that.
No, but
he's just going to do it locally, but enough local equals national.
You want the complete opposite to what Keir Starmer has said, don't you? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Call him. Come on. Yeah. Here's your chance.
Keir Starmer isn't running the country, nor will he be for the foreseeable future.
But you're giving Boris Johnson loads of flack. Fair enough.
Yes.
Give Keir Starmer a bit of flack over this.
Right. Well, I think he's way out.
Yes.
I think he's probably suggesting it in order to put clear blue water between him and Boris Johnson, and to guy Johnson into saying, no, I'm not going to lock down the nation, and then Keir Starmer will say, well, aha, so you don't really care about people's lives. I agree with you.
I've been watching Prime Minister's Questions, right, Keir Starmer, and just watching him, right, and well, he looks like he's saying things through gritted teeth.
He's very nasally, never smiles. He looks like he has a forced smile. I've worked him out, I know what's the matter with him, Nick. He's got constipation.
Really? Right.
Constipated Kia.
Right. Get some prunes over to Kia Aura's place immediately.
Yes, but he's had it for that long, this. Prunes won't do the job. You know what he needs? Dino rod. It's that entrenched in him. Come on, we're in trouble at the moment.
Yeah, but your basic assertion is incorrect. The alternative to Boris Johnson is not Keir Starmer. The alternative to Boris Johnson is... I don't know. Let's get Theresa May back.
Oh, no, thanks. we're just solving the problem what she caused, Nick.
No, that's completely untrue. I don't know which problem you're talking about, but if you're talking about a problem with the EU, then that would be David Cameron's fault. And we're still not missing you, Dave, but we know where to find you if we do. You'll be in the shed where they keep the tools.
I think this is nonsense.
As you know, Nick, I'm a big Brexiteer, and I'm not actually happy. I think it's only 50-50 what Boris Johnson's done today. If he really meant it, he should have come out and said, no deal, that is it, no more talks. But he's left the door ajar a bit, which I don't agree with. He had his big chance. Macron's been a fool. It was his big chance to make the excuse, no deal. Right.
He's been a fool in that he didn't give us everything we wanted. We screamed like a baby and threw ourselves to the floor of the supermarket because Mummy wouldn't buy us a chocolate-covered sugar bomb.
Hang on. You call him Boris Johnson, right? This leader, Macron, is the worst leader in the world.
No, impossible.
He's foolish.
He's the second at best. Second worst.
Right. The bloke, right, needs slapping on the face with a wet kipper. He's that much of a fool, right? He knows that he wants the same things now as when we were in the EU with fishing waters. Impossible.
Oh, God. You people and your fish. Right? Do you have any idea what kind of fish that we pull out of the sea?
Nick. I've heard you say it 100 times.
Well, then, why you keep going on about it then?
Well, why do they want it so much then if it's not worth anything?
It's not that it's not worth anything. It's worth a relatively small amount of our economy, and theirs too. But it's a sticking point because
I'll tell you what,
and it's just madness for us to be yelling about fish, for us to be digging our heels in about that, because it's got nothing to do with fish. It's about ruling the waves. We've got this idea that the map's still pink and our sailing force can bestride the world. It's just such nonsense. It's flag-waving silliness, the thing about the fish.
If Barnier comes here Monday, right, we've said don't bother if you haven't got to change your thing on it, right?
Yeah, unless you give us everything we want, we'll scream and scream till we're sick.
If he comes here Monday, I tell you what will happen, shall I? He will do the dirty on Macron.
Who will?
Get things moving.
Who will?
Barnier will. He will finally, and Merkel, they'll have told Macron now, it hasn't worked what you've done, saying we'll have no deal if you don't give us all the fish and that.
And the reason that their negotiating positions haven't worked is because our lot aren't really interested in negotiating. They're interested in pretending to negotiate.
No way.
But having a sticking point about the blooming fish that we pull out of our waters that we don't even want to eat, that we sell to Europe, well, that's just mad.
They're going to sell Macron out down the next week or the week after. They can't keep that position about the waters, right? And the thing is, Merkel has to have a cars and all that, worth billions and billions sold to this country, Treasure Island. What they're going to do? They're going to want that rather than fish, aren't they? Come on.
It would make more sense, which highlights how silly this fish thing is. I mean, all of the fish that we pull out of our waters, we don't eat because, as I've said many, many times before, it's not to our taste. We prefer fish that doesn't actually taste of anything, which comes out of Iceland's waters or Norway, way up north. Let's have no sign of that yet. Maybe there is intelligent life in space because there certainly ain't none down here. Ain't that right, Margaret?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No self-respected alien would put down a foot on this planet.
No.
Not one of them. They've got more sense and more taste.
Yeah, and more feet. Not one of their 3 feet. Yeah.
Exactly, which is a yard. They would step down yards, wouldn't they? Not feet.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Right, Nick, I'm searching for clarity, and I know behind all your funnies, There's a razor-sharp mind. Let me boost you up. There's a razor-sharp mind here.
Sure.
I need clarity. I am in need of clarity.
Yeah.
Listen to what I have to say and reply.
Right.
The first time I went to Europe was in 1956 on a student exchange. And ever since then, most years, apart from 5, I've been in Europe. I've been in Tuscany, Italy, France. I love Europe.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Europe. When I went at first, we were lovely neighbours, we were friends, we holidayed, we visited each other, and it was absolutely perfect.
Yes.
And then there was something called the common market, which meant trade between us was easier and kind. That was wonderful. We had the perfect setup. Then somebody or some people decided...
I'm a nutcase.
Yeah, who in particular?
I'm a nutcase.
It needed to be deeper. It needed to be more political. It needed to be more extreme. And no excuses. It was people with money, because we all know greed drives the planet, and it drives our government more than most.
Yes.
So why did we go from that lovely, lovely place with the common market? Why did they take it further? I know you can answer me that question.
Why did they take
Why
it
did
further?
they take it further?
But
Yeah.
which bit of it is most aggrieving you?
No, I'm fine with it.
Oh.
But why did we change it? It was perfect.
Well, I don't know about perfect. What's perfection?
Well, God, when you find it, give me a call,
Well,
please.
exactly. There ain't no such thing as perfection. They just tried
But
to
it was nice.
improve
we
it.
visited each other. We traded together.
We still do.
It was, yeah, but it went deeper than that, and that's why all the troubles come about. Come on.
I don't think so.
It went deeper because people thought there was money to be made. Simple as. They should have left it as it was.
Yeah, but making money is not necessarily a bad thing.
I'm sure it isn't. I'd love to make some.
Well,
but
yeah.
it gets to be... Oh, come on. The whole world is driven by greed.
Well, that's right. But that's why we are, as a species, number one on Earth. But it's not because we're nice. It's because we're nasty and grasping and greedy.
Well, I'm glad you agree with me.
Of course.
Those qualities went in to changing our lovely, nice relationship with Europe. Those qualities you have now pronounced were responsible for making it something deeper and non-acceptable to some people.
But it only became unacceptable to most people when certain individuals popped their heads above the parapet and suggested that it was unacceptable. Previous to that, we'd just been rubbing along perfectly fine. Everything was going well. Trade was continuing. Money was being made, and everyone was having a nice time.
That's fine. So who's responsible?
Who's responsible?
I'm a nutcase.
Well, exactly. But anyway, you're not going to answer my question because there is no answer.
I thought I just did.
No, you didn't.
Oh, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Which question did I just answer then? Can you ask?
You did not tell me.
Can you ask the question that I just answered, and then that will wrap this whole up?
Right. I'm asking you who changed that lovely reciprocal arrangement with trade and holidays to something more political, something more intense.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everything was going along just fine until we were told that it wasn't, and then people thought, "Oh yeah, that's right. That's the reason why my life."
You're missing the point.
No, I'm not missing the point. I disagree with your point. Is the point? I don't think that it ever went sour. I don't really recognise the scenario you are describing. That it used to be great in the 50s, and it is a poisoned chalice now. I disagree completely. There's no justification for holding that opinion.
Well, there is, but we'll leave it there because you have to go back and read your books and see how the change occurred.
I most certainly will do nothing of the sort, Margaret.
And why it occurred.
Right. Yeah, leave it with me, and I'll not read that later. Homework? On the weekend? But miss... Bill texts, instead of worrying about a few fish, much more important is the willingness of France, who are more than self-sufficient in electricity generation, to supply electricity to our national grid when we cannot meet our own demands. Well, there is that, yes. All this nonsense about fish. What are you talking about, you silly, silly people? Liverpool, Isla.
You know, like the big conglomerate, Nick, you know, like most of the world doesn't own most of the wealth. It's a small minority of people that owns most of the wealth of the world. And lots of people for decades now have not been able to make a substantial or even a reliable source of income due to the lack of facilities to work. And basically, you know, have you heard of this global reset that is supposed to be underway? You know, they're hoping to reset everything under these globalised...
well, I've heard the phrase, but then people with a tinfoil hat on will create a meaning to that phrase that doesn't necessarily exist.
Well, it does exist because, you know, down south, you've got the docks open still down there. All this end of the country, the riverways are dead pools. There's nothing hardly ever comes in from day to day. A few ferries from, you know, Norway and places like that, and a few
but
ferries.
Why are you suggesting that? But what's the suggestion that means?
Well, that is all dead pool area. There's no manpower supporting the security of the country alone. It's all dead easy access in for people just pouring in.
Wait. So you're saying that the docks in the north of England are empty so that foreigners can come pouring in. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying it makes it easier for them to access. Down even in Devon, you know, all them areas where they used to do smuggling centuries ago. I mean, that's all easy access points anyway. But I'm just saying...
Like in Liverpool, you mean? The docks in Liverpool? For instance.
Well, the docks in Liverpool just don't exist hardly anymore. Even when they were open years ago, every man that went down there wasn't taken on.
Right.
It was bad work ethics even then. Most of them were turned away after those that were touched on the shoulder.
Right, well, there's only so much work to go around. But are you saying that the docks have been deliberately run down in order that foreigners can come swarming in? Is that your position?
No, that's not my position at all, Nick.
I thought that's what you said.
My position is all these dead areas of the rivers and that are easy access points for people wanting to come in illegally.
Who is it that's wanting to will come into those access points?
That video on the telly, it was on the media everywhere, where there was a big raft landed on the beach with people eating their ice creams.
Do you seriously think that people are going to push off from Calais and then row all the way up to Liverpool before they land?
We were in a huge, big rubber dinghy that landed on the beach. Before anyone had time to react, they were gone. They were jumped off this raft and gone.
Yeah, but where did they land? Where did they land?
I'm not sure what beach it was. It was somewhere down south.
Of course it was, because that's the nearest part to France. Nobody's going to skip by the south of England and go up to Liverpool to land.
Well, all I'm saying, Nick, is, you know, ordinary people sitting on beaches can't control these situations. And what happens to these people when they come here? And they can't claim money, so they have to go underworld doing bad things.
Okay, so, all right, okay. So this is why it's the Conservative government will get in next time around, because they will have fans like Isla who demonises foreigners, because they're coming over here, they're swarming in, and it doesn't matter what the government does between now and then, they will just tell the same people the same thing, and everybody that disagrees with them, that thinks, well, maybe that's actually not what's ailing this nation, maybe its problems are deeper than that. They will split their vote between Labour and the Green Party and the Liberal Democrats, and people like Isla will vote for the Conservative Party, because the Conservatives will say, and will continue to say from now until then, that the problems with the country are the people beneath you on the ladder. Cambridge. Hello, Shirley. Oh, no, not Cambridge. Coatbridge. Shirley.
Hello.
Yes, Shirley.
How are you, my darling?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking.
Oh, Boris Johnson is an absolute darling.
Right, a fan.
Yes, he couldn't have done better. I hope we come out. The last thing we want is the breakup of the United Kingdom.
Right, why are the two connected?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know how else to put it. Why are the two connected? Us leaving the European Union and the breakup of the Union, this Union.
Well, the breakup of the European Union, we'll be able to make our own decisions.
Right. Okay, well, it sounds like you've given it a lot of thought. Thanks, Shirley. Speaking of big mouths, Stockton-on-Tees. Hello, Brian.
Yeah, hello, Nick.
Brian.
Good evening.
Yes, Brian. Good evening. How are you?
I'm okay, mate. Roll on October, Nick.
October? Why? What's happening in October?
Two big things are happening, aren't there?
Yeah, big
the
thing
furlough,
one.
the furlough
The
finishes.
furlough finishes, yes.
And also, we're going to know probably if there's no deal or a deal, the Brexit.
Yeah, there won't be. There
two
won't,
major things.
There won't be a deal.
Well, I'm not bothered either way if there's a deal or there's no deal or a deal.
You're
the main thing I'm bothered about
You're not
that
bothered?
is... No, not at all. Not worried, I mean.
Right.
The reason
Why
is,
not?
The only thing I'm bothered about is we get full sovereignty back.
Okay.
Forget about the money. We get full sovereignty back.
Sovereignty. So we've taken we're taking back controls, presumably, from the evil European overlords, which is actually a rainbow coalition. A democratically elected rainbow coalition, and instead we are giving control to an unelected man who is apparently running the government behind Boris Johnson's
The country voted, Nick.
puppet,
The country voted.
waving
The
his
country
arms around at the front of the stage in order to distract your attention from the fact that we are being run by an unelected official who is overseen by an unelected upper house, who in turn is overseen by an unelected head of state. Yes, that sounds democratic.
The country voted for Brexit, right?
The country voted. Actually, the country voted for the lies that it was told that Brexit would deliver them.
They both told lies. Come on, Nick. It was on both sides. The thing is,
it was on both sides.
Leave one.
As though that's okay. Oh well, it's okay then. Because once somebody told a lie, then telling lies from this moment on is okay. It comes without consequence because once somebody else also told a lie. Oh my God!
That happens in general elections, any election, anywhere in this country.
So you admit that you were sold a lie, a pack of lies, in order to vote Brexit. You admit that? That's extraordinary.
Look,
you just did. You just said that.
Will you let somebody talk for a change, will you? Right. If Boris Johnson doesn't deliver full sovereignty, Boris Johnson government, I will call Boris Johnson. I'll come on this road.
What do you mean by full? I've just described how this country is run. There is no such thing as full sovereignty. You'd have to dissolve the House of Lords and sack the Queen.
Look. They're answerable to us still, aren't they?
No, they're not. They are not answerable to us. They have they just got a massive landslide based on a pack of lies, and now they can do anything they want without consequence.
Yes, but they won't stay in government, will they? You can put another party in. You have to be answerable to this, completely this, who vote them in. Right. I'll tell you another thing I'm going to call Boris Johnson about now and his government. These crossings, the migrants, illegal migrants crossing the channel.
Yeah.
Right? If he doesn't sort this out, he's got to stop talking about it and do some action and stop it. All he has to do is say, illegal migrants, you're not staying, you go straight back.
Well,
and he has to do it now.
We don't know they're illegal until they go through the process.
Look, coming across as illegal, you shouldn't be doing that. So straight away, same as what Abbot said in Australia, you're not going yet, and so straight back to stop coming. And I can't understand why France...
Well, we can't send them back to France without France's permission. You can't patrol France's waters without their permission.
EU, isn't it? That's why we have to leave the EU. And as soon as we've left the EU...
if we leave the EU, then the situation will become worse.
Yes, and if it does, he's answerable to the people of his country because he hasn't got the excuse to say it's France, has he? And that's what I want out of Brexit, Nick.
You want the ability to do what? This is actually getting quite comical.
If it gets worse,
your desperation.
After we leave, if the immigration gets worse after we leave,
if more than just a dribble of people come in,
If it still happens, right?
Yeah.
I will call him out for it because he is not doing what he said, and he's answerable to the people of this country. He's just won a load of votes in the Red Wall, right?
Yeah.
And there's loads of people like me. If he doesn't stop the immigration line, the way it is, they will not vote for him again. He knows that.
Yes, you will, because next time around, he's just going to sell you the same pack of lies that you bought the first time around.
Look, Nick, you stop
under Britain's points-based immigration system, do you know? Guess how many people will be eligible to apply for work visas? Under this points-based immigration system that everybody says is going to be so fantastic, just like the Australians. The Australians have got it figured out. 660 million people. They should write that. They should have written that on the side of a bus. They should have had a poster of 660 million people all queued up to come in.
He's not going to get away with it, is he? He will not. No government will get away with that in this country.
Well, has the Conservative Party benefited the people in your area, benefited the poor people of this country over the past 10 years? Because this is not this isn't brand new people who have just ascended to the top job. They've been doing this for 11 years now, and how's it been so far?
Nick, come on! Didn't you look at the last election results? He had in the Midlands and especially in the North East and that. He used to win general elections where I am by 14,000 votes, 12,000, 11,000, 9,000 last time we voted, right? You know what he won it by last time? 1,000 votes, right? The people around this area, the Midlands, are sick of Labour. They don't want immigration. And you call them Conservatives over it. They've actually come out in the open, Labour, and said, we'll welcome immigration from all over the world. Open doors. Don't you know that?
No, they have not said. They've said nothing of the sort.
They have.
Open doors.
Jeremy Corbyn himself said
Is Jeremy Corbyn running the Labour Party?
Well, yeah, but he's the same, the one they've got now, isn't he?
He couldn't be more different. He's the same. In what regard is he the same?
He's telling the pack a
Keir
lie.
I thought you accepted parties that tell lies. We've already been through this.
But you just said that Keir Starmer doesn't tell lies.
No, I didn't. I did not say anything of the sort. I said I question that they are the same. Of course, they're not the same.
How can you vote for a party? You were saying put Labour in as much as the Conservatives no good. Put Labour in, and I tell you what, we will be 10 times worse off with Labour. They're the only option at the moment. I've never voted Conservative until last
10 times worse off. This party has been in power for 11 years. Has your life improved in 11 years?
Look, who started this rot off?
Just to answer one of these questions. I mean, every single time you come on, I ask you question after question after question, and you ignore every single one of them and then pivot and then charge off in another direction. What about this? And what about that? My God, it's painful, Brian.
Who started the big immigration problem?
See,
Tony
again,
Blair.
pivoting
Tony
away
Blair.
And charging off in the other direction.
Tony Blair caused the immigration problem.
What's
Labour.
Tony Blair got to do with the current Labour Party?
Right. Tony Blair said, when Romania comes in and different ones are...
There was another question that you just skipped right by. What's Tony Blair got to do with the current Labour Party? Is Tony Blair an MP?
Hey, he will not keep out of you can't get him off the radio and television, Tony Blair. He's like a bad penny. He keeps coming back. That's why we're talking about Tony Blair.
You can't get him off. Well, you can't get Jeremy Clarkson off the television, but he doesn't have anything to do with it either.
Look, he was leader of the Labour Party for 12 years, Tony Blair.
And one of the most successful prime ministers in history.
And when Romania and these bloc countries come into the EU, he said, it won't make much difference on immigration. It'll be another 10,000 or something.
Yeah.
You know how many it was? 200,000,
And
300,000.
do you know what percentage of immigrants came from the European Union and which came from outside the European Union, over which we had complete control? The vast majority came from outside the European Union. We could have stopped every single one of them, but we did not. We didn't when Tony Blair was in charge, and we didn't when David Cameron was in charge, and we're not doing it now. What are you talking about? You're being... It's so obvious that you're just being set up, that you're being made furious just to support a government that has shown absolutely zero interest in people like you. Golders Green. Hello, John.
I don't want to shout at you, but I would like to. I called in when that lady Sophie was speaking about how there's nothing tangible that she can find that to benefit from us leaving the EU. And we're only January the 1st, but I'd like to point out to Sophie that the tampon tax was abolished.
Oh, for crying out loud. I knew somebody was going to come up with this, the tampon tax. Do me a favour.
Well, do you me a favour. The year is only 24 hours old.
Yeah.
And if we had one of those small, tiny things every single day this year,
please, then it'll amount to nothing at all. You know who voted against challenging the EU about the tampon tax?
Tell me.
The Tory party. All of them, bar 3. In 2015, MPs voted against a move to compel the government to cut tax on sanitary products, dubbed the tampon tax by campaigners.
So what's your point?
My point is that people are celebrating the fact that this almost imperceptible benefit has been gifted to us by the Conservative Party, having taken us out of the evil EU. It's the blooming Conservative Party that the reason it was there in the first place.
No, it wasn't. It was it's written into EU law that you can't do it.
It was in 2015. There was a move to compel the government to take the issue to the EU and insist on it being removed. And the Tory party voted against. All of them apart from 3.
But what's your point?
That is my point.
No, but my point to Sophie is that something tangible has happened today that is a
something
benefit.
Tangible could have happened in 2015, but the Conservative Party voted against it.
And if the Conservative Party had voted for it, would it have been able to be enacted into law in 2015?
It could quite possibly have been, but they refused. Yes, but the EU is not a separate organisation that dictates to countries. The decisions are made. Oh my God, are we still having this argument?